All right. Welcome to United Astronomy Clubs of New Jersey. We're once again back in Jenny Jump State Park on site. Uh, we do these programs every Saturday, April through October, here on site. And then through the winter, which we just had, we have the online only programs. So, while there's still a couple people filing down from getting parked, we'll go over the online warnings where if you want, you can check us out on our website, uacnj.org. That's where you're going to find a list of all our upcoming talks, as well as links to past talks. Speaking of those links to past talks, they're all saved on our YouTube channel, where we also live stream these talks on Twitch and YouTube. So do check us out. If you want to support us but don't have the money, hitting those like and subscribe buttons are a great way to do that and cost you basically nothing except a couple seconds of your time. In addition, we are a club made up of clubs. You'll find a list of all our member clubs and possibly be able to find a club close to you. Because the best way to get started in astronomy is to jump right in and find that local source. So, for all the people who are here, it is kind of dark. It's only going to get darker as we are getting pretty close to the new moon, which means we're getting close to the eclipse on Monday. We'll talk more about that in a bit. So, when we go to leave, we are using our headlights because we do not like getting run over, and I am sure you feel the same way. If you happen to need to use the bathroom, it is the porta potty in the back, to my left, your right. And after the presentation, I will be manning the little museum and gift shop area. Also in the door to my left, your right, outlined in red. So we do have a bit of cloud cover. Hello, speaker? Okay. Sometimes it throws a hissy fit. Normally we would have a telescope open, but I don't know if we're going to have it open with the cloud cover. We'll see. Hopefully it gets better as the night goes on and this wind blows all the clouds away. So, with all the safety briefing taken care of, tonight's talk is What's Up in the April Sky. Normally this talk is given by Lonnie, but Lonnie has chosen to go to a site in the path of totality for the eclipse, for which I do not blame him, because eclipses are awesome and being in the path of totality is even better. Paul here is going to be giving the talk in his stead. Paul has a Bachelor in Engineering in Chemical Engineering from Stevens Institute of Technology and has worked in the environmental and chemical industries. Though always interested in celestial objects, Paul's official start in amateur astronomy was one night several years ago, lying in awkward positions on his roof, freezing and cold, much like tonight. So he was holding a pair of binoculars and caught a brief glimpse of the Galilean moons of Jupiter, and from then on he was hooked. He then purchased many materials, became an active member of one of our member clubs, which is
NWJAA.
Yeah, I lost my place. I'm like, oh gosh. Northwest Jersey Amateur Astronomers. And he volunteers here frequently. He is our current vice president of UACNJ. And with that, here's Paul.
Thank you, Kim. Hello, everybody. One glove on and one glove off tonight. Unfortunately, I need this one to operate the slide advancer. Otherwise, I would be bundled up very similar to our live audiences right now. So tonight, as Kim mentioned, Lonnie does this series for us ever since I've been a member here. So I am substituting for Lonnie. A lot of what you'll see here is Lonnie's format and Lonnie's references. So we're going to give a nod to Lonnie this evening, and hopefully I can keep up the good work that Lonnie did for tonight. Okay, what's up in the April sky? For everything wholesome, right, and good with this presentation, like I said, give credit to Lonnie. For everything incorrect and really bad, please, shake your fingers at me, not at Lonnie. Okay, and tonight we're offering a limited warranty and guarantee for this evening. Oh, whoa. For this evening only, this presentation is now guaranteed to be 100% earthquake free, or the price of your admission ticket will be refunded. All right, here's one of Lonnie's references and where I got the main thrust or the main themes of tonight's presentation. Goastronomy.com, and there's an event calendar here on the you'll see it's the 2024 event calendar. Even though it's showing the end of 2023 here, if you scroll down further, there are 2024 dates there on the web page, so it is current. Please go and explore that web page. That's where we got some of these things to present you with. First of all, we're going to talk about Comet 12P Pons Brooks. Then we'll talk a little bit about the moon. And then something minor that's happening that you may or may not have heard about, the total solar eclipse on Monday. Then later in April, the Lyrid meteor shower. And then finally the full moon phase, which is named this month the pink moon. All right, besides those things that are on that calendar, which are more variable every year, when the moon happens every year, it isn't the same date in April. It moves around because the moon doesn't care about our calendar too much. So the moon moves at its own pace. However, the stars, if you were to come up here next year, same date, same time, and were to look up at a specific star that you see tonight over a tree, and you come back here and stand in the same place and look up over the tree, you can expect to see that same star in the same position at night. And that's the difference between, that's how we started to understand that maybe solar system objects, even in antiquity, how solar system objects are maybe different than stellar and galactic and universe objects. So those objects are up here at the same place same time in April. So we can't forget about them. So let's talk a little bit about them too. Here's a list of them right now. M35, M51, M81, M42, M44, M13, and this down here, Polaris, Mizar, Alcor, Castor, Pollux, Arcturus, Spica, Capella, Sirius. Those are all stars. You might recognize those names. What's the deal with these M designations here? Those are Messier objects. As you might imagine, as people have been looking at things in the sky, they've been writing them down and creating lists of objects. Messier was one of them. Messier was a French comet hunter. And so the Messier catalog is 110 objects currently, and it's interesting in the fact that Messier originally created this catalog to say, don't look at these aren't comets. So we find them interesting because they're pretty easy in the sky to find, they're cool, they're close to us typically, and cool to show everybody. So we like them, but Messier, I don't want to say he didn't like them, nor did he not look at them and not appreciated them, but he created the list specifically to steer comet hunters away from the objects. All right, let's talk about Comet 12P Pons Brooks. You might have heard about this comet a little bit. You might have heard its moniker, the Devil's Comet, in the news recently. This is where you can find it. Now, you might not, this is the triangulum. This is triangulum here. This is Perseus. And this is Taurus. You might have heard those constellations, but you might not be able to find them in the sky. But this guy is nice and big in the sky. So you can see the comet's very close to Jupiter at the moment. The problem is that it's disappearing in the western sky. I don't even know whether tonight we can find it if the clouds were gone. I don't know whether Jupiter set already or not. But it's disappearing in our sky and will be gone soon because it's moving closer to the sun. It's moving further west, following where the sun is. And so it's going to be harder and harder as the days go along. I know several days ago, one of our observers here got a picture of the comet. So it was observable recently. I don't know about tonight. So a little bit of information about the comet. The comet 12P Pons Brooks is a periodic comet with an orbital period of 71.3 years, which sounds a lot like that very famous comet. What was that comet? Halley's Comet. All right, Halley's Comet has a similar orbital period. So this is a periodic comet similar to Halley's. Perihelion will be slightly closer to us from the sun. One AU is defined as the distance between the sun and the earth. So 0.78 AU is slightly closer to the sun than we are. Aphelion is about 17.2 AU from the sun. So that's the furthest it gets away. Comet 12P Pons Brooks is the probable parent body for the Kappa Draconid meteor showers. You realize that meteor showers come from probably most of them, if not all of them, come from a parent body. It's sort of debris that fell off of that body. And what the meteor shower is when the Earth, orbiting the sun, comes around again to where that object last went through our orbit, and we're just driving right through that debris trail. It's like a truck that was in the mud, flung mud all over the highway, and we're driving right behind it and catching the mud. That's what a meteor shower is. We're catching the mud from a small body object that intersected our orbit. It's closest-ish to Earth now. It might have been closest a couple days ago, but right about now, it's the closest to Earth that it was going to get this time around. The last observed visual magnitude that I saw reported was 4.3 visual magnitude. What does that mean to you and I? It's about the same as the dimmer stars in the Little Dipper. Our brighter stars tend to be around the -1, 0, 1 magnitude. So this is dimmer than that. The higher numbers are dimmer, and so 4.3, it's a dimmer star, certainly visible with the naked eye on a clear night, but like I said, it's about equivalent to the dimmer stars in the Little Dipper. Perihelion, when it's closest to the sun, that is April 21st. And I didn't go into too much about Pons Brooks. Pons originally found it, didn't know it was a repeating comet. Uh, Brooks later found it again, and he didn't know also that it was a repeating comet, however, or a periodic comet. However, that was the late 1700s. They found out at that point, the scientists who were doing reviews of science at that point, etc. There was more of a community coming around science then that reviewed each other and things like that. They figured out at that time that it was a periodic comet. However, I didn't really go into too much depth with that because this comet has been recorded as early as the 1300s by both Asian and European astronomers. So there's a lot of people whose name should be on this comet. We call it Pons Brooks now. However, we've known about this comet since probably antiquity. Why is it called the Devil Comet? Well, not because of anyone aboard this particular notable spaceship, which we shall remain unnamed so that attack lawyers don't come and drag us away. But it is kind of similar in shape, but this is the horns that one might say induce the name or suggest the name of the devil comet. So that is why it was called, you might have seen it in newspapers reported that way. Let's talk about April's moon. This, by the way, this photograph was taken by a very unprofessional photographer, me, through my telescope. So not bad. You can get pretty good pictures even if you're a complete neophyte like myself, up here at Jenny Jump. So you're in the right place. April 8th, there will be a new moon. April 23rd will be the full moon. The full moon is called, this month is called the pink moon. And according to Google anyway, northern Native Americans named this full moon after an early blooming wildflower. Notice that the full moon is during the peak of the Lyriads, and you'll see that again a little bit later. The new moon and the solar eclipse happen on the same day. I'm going to ask this of our live studio audience. Is that a coincidence? It's not a coincidence, right? It would make sense that the moon orbiting us completely, that the moon doesn't actually disappear from the sky once a month. It just happens to be on the sun side of the planet at that time, and so you can't see it. The sun is so bright and the contrast is so poor that you can't see reflected objects that reflect light in the sun's brilliance. Okay, so that's what's happening on a new moon. The moon is on the sun side of the earth. Now, during a new moon, where there is no moon at all at night, you would guess that the moon would be right centered on the sun. Now that's true if the orbits happen to line exactly up. They don't, which is why we don't see a solar eclipse once a month. However, it does suggest that the other direction, when an eclipse happens, it does happen to be a new moon. So that is what's happening. It is not a coincidence. 2024, the Great North American Eclipse. That's the big news this month, right? So let's talk a little bit about it. The eclipse's New Jersey particulars. If you have not read the news articles, it's going to begin around 2:09 Eastern Daylight Time. The maximum will be at 3:24 Eastern Daylight Time. It ends at 4:35 Eastern Daylight Time, and the coverage will be around 85 to 95%. Why do I say approximate here? Why do I give an estimate of 85 to 95%? And why do I say maximum? Any ideas here? Correct. All right. So it would make sense that a time zone is about 60 minutes from one end to the other, depending upon how close you are to the equator, right? So it's about 60 minutes. So somewhere in there, you're going to be, if you are basing that on the actual rotation of the Earth, like celestial events do, then somewhere in there you're going to be a couple minutes off one way or the other, depending upon how close to one end of the time zone you are versus another. Also, something similar happens, but it's more complex due to the shape of orbits and things like that, north or south. So this eclipse will depend upon your actual location in New Jersey, and the coverage you see also depends upon your location in New Jersey. That's why approximate. So I would give, if you are very interested in observing tonight, observing the eclipse, you need to have some flexibility on your schedule versus the posted numbers. You want to spend a little bit of time before and after, observing and seeing when it actually starts for your location. The other thing I want to mention is that I don't necessarily like this Great North American Eclipse moniker. And it's not because it isn't a great opportunity for everyone in the United States, as well as Mexico and Canada. And it's not because I have any, that I'm not a patriotic American. It has nothing to do with those things. What it has to do, though, is that it minimizes and maybe distracts from the reality of eclipses a little bit. And the reality is that they happen twice a year somewhere on the planet. And it even happens here, at least partial eclipses, on a relatively frequent basis. All right, so next full eclipse will be 2033 in Alaska, and then 2044 in the Northwest. So that isn't that far away. It is, it's a decade and then 2 decades away. So that there are time factors associated with that. I understand, but still, that isn't a once in a lifetime like some people are saying. Like I said, it happens twice a year somewhere on Earth. And most frequently, you can imagine, it happens over those things that cover 2/3 of the planet, the oceans. I want to mention that New Jersey is not in the path of totality. Okay, that manages our expectations a little bit, but also that's important safety information, and we'll go into that in a little bit. Because we will not reach totality here, you will need ISO, those numbers, or equivalent eye protection for the entire event, even when it is mostly covered. Even if we get if you happen to be in a 95% area, cover your eyes. Let's talk about the power of the sun really quick, because I give a talk on the sun. And I have this information, or have this idea that I like to convey to people. Anyone here camping tonight, or had a campfire today, or something like that? It's a great night for it, if you did. But everyone can relate to, who has had a campfire, can relate to. There's this butter zone on a campfire, right? You light a nice big campfire, and then you 10 feet back, if it's a good one, and you're nice and toasty. If you go 12 feet back, you don't feel the campfire at all, right? Something about it is just like you're either right in the butter zone, or you step back just a little bit, and that radiant heat is gone from the campfire. All right, the sun is a campfire that's 93 million miles away from us. 93 million miles away from us. We can feel that on our face. So just think about the biggest campfire you've had and how strong, how far away you had to be, but how quickly it disappeared on you, and then just multiply that that many times so that, oh, then the square of that, because these things happen the square of the distance you are from them. That's how powerful the sun is. So even if you're only seeing 10% of the sun's light or 5% of the sun's light, it's still extraordinarily powerful. So we have to protect ourselves from it. The Earth's total solar eclipses are a coincidence of size and position, and we'll go into that in a future slide. All right, so here's some other eclipses. This was the 2019 solar eclipse that happened. Right here you can see this one's total eclipse. Whoever took this picture from ESO, where I picked this, space.com is where I picked this picture up from. That's a total eclipse. You can see the darkening of the sky. Really cool picture. 2019, that wasn't too long ago. This is 2021, even closer. This is a partial eclipse. I want you to look close at this picture because what you think you're seeing, you're not necessarily seeing. This is not the sun. The sun just came up over the mountains here. And what's happening is the sun's so low in the sky that it's shining up at the clouds, and the clouds here are reflecting that sunlight back at me, who took this picture. And this this little well, the eclipse is here. This crescent sun underneath here is the actual partial eclipse of the sun. So kind of a cool picture for many reasons. Plus it's a beautiful look over a farmer's field close to where I live. So nice. All right, so those were the other types of eclipses or other total eclipses we've seen recently. And we talked about the future ones. Let's talk about the totality that we are not in. So Jersey's right here. Here's Pennsylvania. It's nicking the corner of Pennsylvania up along the western side, almost all the western side there of New York. And it starts down in Mexico and goes up into Canada. So quite a cool thing. Now, this isn't the entirety. There's never a shadow this long on the planet. In fact, these little white circles or ellipses as you get further along the path are what the shadow would look like at those positions. But that's the path of totality. The totality will start here and then go this way. One would think it would travel this way, but it actually starts here and goes that way. So it's not because of the Earth's rotation that it's happening, and that's not why it's not happening in this direction, but the combination of the Earth's rotation and the moon's orbit, which is why it's traveling minute by minute in this direction. All right, eclipse safety. Let's talk a little bit. This was someone from our organization took pictures of somebody else who was not part of our organization, from my understanding, who did not use their safety equipment the correct way. So this is both a telescope and eye protection safety tip here, all in one. Let's go into it after I read these. The sun is powerful even when it's mostly obscured. I talked about that a little bit. Never look at the sun with a magnifying device without a filter properly installed, and we will get to that again. New Jersey is not in totality. It is never safe to look directly at the eclipse without eye protection here. Make sure your glasses, filters, etc. are rated to a recognized standard and are from a reputable manufacturer. Keep in mind long-term as well as immediate eye health effects. Just because you've looked at the sun directly in your misspent youth and successfully are not blind doesn't mean that there aren't downstream effects when you get older. Like my wife and I have to think about cataract surgery and things like that. You don't want premature problems from doing silly things. We are, but we are open during the eclipse, so we expect a lot of interest on those. So we're only selling a limited amount tonight.
Yeah, I am limiting it to like 2 per group that come in, just so that every group has a chance to use the safety equipment. But we are going to have a question and answer session at the end of this talk, so do hold those questions and we'll get to them soon.
Thanks, and do inquire with Kim afterwards. All right, so let's talk about this. What happened here is that this person used their filter glasses that were designed just directly to be used on their eye, not for a telescope. So that was problem 1. Problem 2 was that they installed the filter on the you tried to use it on the eyepiece side of the telescope and not on the objective side, where the sun comes in to the telescope. All right, so you had an 8-inch telescope, for instance, will multiply. They call it light gathering power. Multiply the light by 1,200 times. So the sun can already damage your eyes times 1,200. And oops. Thank God that was the glasses and not somebody's eye, right? So don't do that. All right, so what's happening here with an eclipse? And I want to understand totally what's happening. Let's just quickly review here. We have this picture here where this is as if something just interposed itself in between a bright object, say you're welding, or bright headlights are shining in directly into your eyes. You'd hold your hand up to prevent that light from reaching your eyes and hurting your eyes, right? Well, that's what this looks like here. That's our perspective from down here on Earth, right? That's what most of us see an eclipse as. Something went in front of the sun. That's it. Okay? However, let's further appreciate it. This is another view from further out. This would be somebody in space. Somebody, say, on satellite around Earth. And they would see that this actual shadow is traveling along this path. So that's another piece of the puzzle. Finally, this is an alien's viewpoint from out somewhere else in our solar system further away. Now, these sizes are different just so we can have angles that we can see and appreciate. So the sun's really a lot bigger and really a lot further away than that. But what happens is, from our perspective, is that the moon and its size and the sun and its size and the distances they are from the Earth happen to be equal in their apparent size, which is half a degree of arc. And what does that mean? If someone were to stand in front of one of those trees and you were to look at them and they were close to you, they might appear to be as tall as the tree. That's parallax. They might look like they're as tall as the tree, but they're actually standing a lot closer to you. That's what's happening with the moon here. The moon and the sun appear to be the same size, even though the sun's really a lot bigger, but it happens to be a lot further away. The moon's about 250,000 miles away. The sun's about 93 million miles away. That's how much bigger the sun is if they appear to be the same size in the sky. So that's what's causing the eclipse, is that this cosmic coincidence that these two are the sizes that they are, and they happen to be the distances they are from our sun, from us, that they appear to be the same size. That's why we have these really cool total eclipses here on Earth. It won't always be true. The moon is moving further away. So if you hang around for another 600 million years, you won't get to see any total eclipses anymore. So don't do that. You won't see any total eclipses. Why did you hang around for 600 million years? I don't know. All right, just another thing is we tend to model circular objects in space as a point source. For any of you who are more technically minded, point source meaning that all the math appears spherical on its surface in nature. You might remember that from back in school. However, why is that not important in this case? Well, here the sun has actual physical size. It's not a infinitely small point. It has its top and bottom, left and right sides. And so therefore those sides sneak around, this line sneaks around the moon a little bit when you're not in the path of totality. And so that region, so this is the small circular region of totality that we saw on the other slide from the top bird's eye satellite view. And this is the penumbral region, or where you see some of the eclipse but not all of the eclipse, where you get a darkened experience, but not necessarily a darker experience, but not necessarily the completely darkened region of totality. But you get limited light in these partially shaded penumbral regions. So that's this slide. So work all three of those perspectives together to get your best understanding of an eclipse. All right, let's talk about the meteor shower Lyriads. And there's that full moon. And that's what it's going to do to this meteor shower, unfortunately. All right, we're not going to see this meteor shower very well at all. So you can go out and take a look, and maybe you get lucky and catch a bright fireball or something, but you'll probably miss most of the shower. It happens from April 16th to the 25th approximately, and its peak happens around the 22nd and 23rd. 5 to 20 meters per hour at its peak. This is a long period comet. So long period comet is defined above every 200 years. And did I do that I did that the wrong way, didn't I? I should have used the greater than instead of the less than. So the long period is greater than 200 years, and it's 415.5 years, this particular comet, which comes back and visits us. And this comet is C 1861 G1 Thatcher, so it's going to be what? Another 150 years until we see this guy. All right, so let's remove that moon magically, and this is what you would see if the moon wasn't bright during the meteor shower. This is called the radiant. So you never see the meteors all at once coming around exactly at the same time in a perfect circle, but it's sort of like looking down the barrel of a shotgun. Some stuff will be coming out this way, then this way, then this way, then this way across the sky, but they will all appear to be coming from this place in the sky in the constellation Lyra. And it is truly this parallelogram right next to Vega. It's obvious if you're here during the summer. We can point that out to you. But that's what a radiant is. So, and you can imagine this is an orbit of something in the sky that we happen to be intersecting, right? If we were this circle going around and we were happening to fly through it, we would see this kind of tunnel coming from where that orbit went through, right? So that's what a radiant is for a meteor shower. All right, our good old April friends, and I wanted to present this as a quiz for everybody. All right, a little bit of a guessing game here. So we talked about 3 of these objects here were mentioned in that slide, our good old friends. And here we have M13 Hercules cluster, M81 Bode's galaxy, and M51 Whirlpool galaxy. Who wants to guess one? What's this one?
Yell it out.
That's the Whirlpool galaxy. Yes. So very evocative. The image is very evocative of a whirlpool. It's even got something that's sucking into the whirlpool, right? So kind of cool, right? That's the Whirlpool galaxy. So this is, or which one of these is a galaxy, left or right? Right. So that by process of elimination, this is Bode's galaxy. And finally, that makes this one M13, the Hercules cluster. It's a globular cluster because it's shaped like a globe. Globular doesn't come from glob. Globular comes from globe. So it's a globular cluster. All right. So here's a little further interesting trivia about these objects. This one is located, where do you think? Where do you think, how far away is this one from us? No, there are globular clusters in probably most galaxies. This one, however, happens to be located in the Milky Way. Specifically, this one is located in the halo, as many of these objects are, in the halo of our galaxy. So everyone has a picture of the Milky Way as a similar structure. It's a barred spiral, actually, that is so similar to both these galaxies in the sense that they're spirals. However, around this flat disk that you see here is a globe. And this globe, this globular cluster, is in the globe that surrounds the flat part of our galaxy. So that's kind of cool to know that this halo, that we call it, the halo exists around ours and other galaxies. So these objects tend to lie in the halo, and that's about 1 million stars. So kind of cool. Might have been a proto-galaxy that got extinguished, got maybe caught by our galaxy. Might have started trying to form too close to our galaxy. It always existed there, but our galaxy won and took all of its star-making power away from it. These are various ways that these types of things can form. These 2 galaxies are actually not in our local group of galaxies. So it's us, the Magellanic Clouds, Andromeda, and some other dwarf galaxies that are our local group. These are actually the main galaxies in their own groups. So this is the Whirlpool Galaxy Group, and this is the Bode's Galaxy Group. Let me make sure I get that right. M81 group and M51 group. Okay, Lonnie rightly likes to talk a little bit about what launches are coming up. Yesterday there was a Starlink launch in Vandenberg Air Force Base in California. April 7th there'll be a Bandwagon 1 launch at Kennedy Space Center. April 9th, an Enroll 70 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. April 10th, Starlink will have another launch at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. The Space Force Station is in Florida. And then later in April, there'll be a dual mission. The two main missions anyway, NeonSat, which is a Korean mission, and a NASA Advanced Composite Solar Sail System. Both are scientific research. That time is to be determined, and NET means not earlier than, so that one can be pushed off. Any of these, of course, you know the nature of launches if you ever want to watch them, that they can be scrubbed for any safety or adverse weather or adverse condition at any time. So these are always estimates, and this one's not even a full estimate yet. And that is in the Mahia Peninsula. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Probably not. In New Zealand. And you can go to this Spaceflight Now website to get a list of current launch info. And this is a picture from space.com of yesterday's Starlink launch. So we're still very busy about putting stuff up into space, which is good. And a reminder of maybe our past a little bit. One of our major successes, right? This is we still have things operating out in our solar system. I don't know if this guy, I think this guy's had trouble recently, but we do have rovers on Mars that are operating, and we do have plenty of other things operating, and still including the Voyagers are still still sending data back. I think they still have telemetry on both of them, but one of them's kind of in a little trouble. I think Voyager 1 still is having a little bit of trouble. All right, Lonnie also talks about very appropriately credits all his references. I did not, because we did spend a lot of time today on the eclipse. I did not use Stellarium a lot tonight, but Lonnie is very good at doing it over his shoulder backwards, so everyone can see what he's doing. Very good at doing it on the fly, but it's a very comprehensive star atlas. Even if you have like the Google app or one of the other apps on your phone, Stellarium provides a lot of additional data and has a lot of add-ons from the community for many things. So Stellarium's a good software package for Sky Atlas. Celestia Space he uses a lot. Space.com, which I referenced also. Sky and Telescope provides a lot of information. And then Lonnie always makes this joke about repeating. So we're going, or you can Pete and repeat sitting on the fence, right? Pete fell off, who's left? Repeat, right? So let's talk about the events again. We talked about the Comet 12P Pons-Brooks. April 8th, we have a new moon phase. April 8th again, they coincide, have a total solar eclipse, not by coincidence. We have the Lyriad meteor shower, which is going to be completely obliterated, unfortunately, by the full moon here in New Jersey. And here's some further reference. UACNJ, that's where you are right now if you're a member of our live audience, or even if you're tuning in, you're virtually here. magazine skyandtelescope.com and astronomy.com. And then programs and apps, stellarium.org, stellariumweb.org, and celestia.space. And this is Lonnie. Okay, again, we want to thank Lonnie for the format and all the work he's put into developing these talks. Thank you, Lonnie. And this is Lonnie and his astronomyinmotion.com and marsatyourfingertips.com. Lonnie does a lot of visualization work, a lot of 3D work, and a lot of artistic rendering work. So good stuff from Lonnie. So check those out. Oh, and before I forget, inside over the desk, when you walk in on the outside wall to the right over the desk is a picture that Lonnie himself painted. So please take a look at that when you at the at the conclusion of this evening. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you, Paul. So we are going to have a question and answer session because I know a few people probably have some questions they want answered. I know our online chat does. But before I do, we're going to do the safety briefing because I saw you shadowy figures in the back sneak in after the safety briefing. So, if you need the bathroom, it is the porta potty to the back. To my left, your right, it is illuminated in red. We also have a gift shop and museum area, also to my left, behind me, which you can see. As we are leaving tonight, we are using our headlights. We do not want to get run over. We don't want to see you get run over. It is, quite frankly, far too much paperwork. Let's keep the paperwork to a minimum. As we're walking around, it is quite dark because we are getting close to the new moon. If we are using flashlights or like our cell phone, do keep those lights pointed towards the ground because, yes, as much as the headlights are annoying, let's not unintentionally blind people when we do not have to. All right, so for how question and answer session is going to work, I had to remind myself because it has been 5 months since I last did this. So for the people here, you're going to raise your hand and wave it around in the air like you just don't care. And I'm going to come bring you the microphone and you're going to speak your question into the microphone. Because if you have that question, chances are someone online does too. But I'm going to start off with our first question from online. And you're going to love this one, Paul. Are you guys prepared for the solar eclipse? I believe it says you're open for it on the website.
The reason Kim is needling me with that question a little bit is because Kim and I will both be here on Monday. Yes, we are open. There are tickets, our free tickets that we handed out are sold out. It is a waiting list. However, we do expect quite a crowd. We do expect other people here as well. So yes, we are open, but my prediction is that it will be a madhouse here. So come at your discretion. Additionally, if you need help finding the sun, then you need more help than we can provide here at this astronomy club. To be serious, though, the sun will be very obvious, very easy to find. Just keep in mind those safety tips, everyone who is watching online. Make sure you have the appropriate eye protection when you're viewing the eclipse on Monday.
And you might, for anyone who bought solar filters or any of that online, there are usually directions on them or they came with an instruction booklet. If you're not sure how to use them, dig that instruction booklet out of the trash.
And I do want to mention that there is a social aspect to this whole thing, so don't minimize a desire to come up and experience this with other like-minded people. That is certainly a real factor. So if you want to make the trip, I am not discouraging you from doing that.
All right, so I see a question out here.
can't even see it. Will we be able to set up our tripods and cameras
Here on
on
Monday.
Yeah.
Again, the level of people, we were open on 2019, and it was practically in this
I
entire
think it was
facility.
2017.
17, sorry, yeah, 2019, whenever it was, uh, 2017. Uh, when we were here, it was practically standing room only in this entire facility. So I wouldn't bet that you would not get that you would get an uninterrupted good view if you were to set your tripod up. You could probably set your tripod up, but you would have to guard it with your body, and I 100% sure that people would be in the way 50% of the time.
Yeah, we're not going to discourage you from bringing your gear, but just be mindful that it is going to. It is so far predicted to be one of our most publicly packed days of the year. Right. So our next online question: do you know your guys' predicted maximum for your guys' location?
For our location, I think it said northern Jersey is between 90 and 95%, and we are on the western side of New Jersey, so I'd even guess towards closer to 95.
So I ran a little simulation because there's an app for that out there. And I believe it said it got up to about 93%.
93. So 93, 95, I wasn't too far off.
Right. Our next online. Perfect. And just keep in mind, I do become night blind because I'm staring at a phone.
So I have a question. I read somewhere, I really can't remember where, that a space agency, I believe it was NASA, was going to be launching 3 rockets during the solar eclipse. And I was just confirming if that's actually true, and also if it is, what are they going to be measuring, or what is their mission, if you know.
I don't know. Like I did show you the slide. I didn't that I knew that the one that I had on there that said that it happened yesterday could have happened today. So I knew that was a possibility, that we could have not seen it necessarily, but that could have been, hot off the press news that it happened today. We have seen launches here, but they are launches out of Virginia, if I remember correctly, are the ones that we see here. So we can see them here. I don't know of anything that's supposed to happen during the solar eclipse. My information was based on the website that I referenced. So if you know something and say that you saw something that said some launches were happening, then I will defer to your knowledge. But I would check it out maybe online. There are plenty of people who follow these things, very closely, and I'm sure you could find it online somewhere from an enthusiast.
Plus, I believe you said NASA's name was attached to it. If NASA's name is attached to it, you could probably check it out on their website.
Yeah,
which is
true.
Is a much better source for NASA news than third-party sources. All right. So our next online question: is it impossible that multiple items coming from the same radiant would be visible at the same time, or just so improbable it seems impossible?
No, I don't think it's impossible, especially since we've seen them even here. They break up as they fly through their path, so they can very well do that. We've seen fireballs fly across the sky up here at night. We've seen, like I said, we've seen them break up and fly in different paths. So it's certainly possible. And, as improbable it is over the course of the entire history of the universe. I'm sure that it happens on an occasion, and we might just happen to be lucky to be alive and there to witness it when it does happen that two pieces of debris fly through at the same time.
All right. Was there another question out here? Yep. 1 minute. I'll get to you.
Oh, hi. Did Mr. Lonnie let anybody know where he's observing totality?
I'm not aware of where it was. I was called in to do the I've done this substitute for Lonnie, the substitution for Lonnie previously. So I was called in, but I have not been in touch with Lonnie to know where he's going. But certainly, if you happen to be up here for May's presentation, Lonnie is scheduled to be back here, and I think he would be tickled pink to answer that question in May.
Yeah. I also think he left some wiggle room to if there was clouds that because a lot of people who are planning on being in the path are leaving them some, okay, I'm going to stay here, but I can drive this distance around me to try and catch a patch without clouds. So we're not exactly sure what exact area he's going to be in.
Yeah, right now the 4 planets are in line. Is that tonight too, or was it the other night? How long is that going to happen?
No, that lasts for a while, but they do move visibly throughout the year in relationship to us and each other. And you come up here next year, they'll be in different positions. The inner planets, of course, move faster in relationship to us than the outer planets do. So the night planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, and depending upon what you want to call Pluto, move more slowly and will be, they won't be in the same position as they were, but they might be further advanced in their orbit compared to the previous year. However, Venus and Mercury, of course, will dip on the evening side or the morning side because they're inner planets, and they move quite rapidly compared to us, and so change quicker. But it's if you go out and consistently look at the planets over a period of time, you'll be able to know where they are intuitively, and you'll more notice where they are if you look for them on a relatively frequent basis. So please, I urge you to do that, and we will talk to you about you can when we have a better sky, we can show you the ecliptic plane, so you might get a better idea of where the planets are located on any given night in the sky.
All right. So our next question, and I think I'm going to take part of the answer here. Are people in central Jersey seeing silver disc-shaped objects in the sky? Maybe. But anything's an unidentified flying object if you're bad enough at identifying things. Keep in mind that there are a number of military, like armories and bases. We have numbers of colleges who are trying to do science. Some of them have just been bored college kids with a drone and way too much time on their hands. We're getting close to an eclipse. A lot of places are trying to do extra science and sending up weather balloons, which are often silver and metallic and round. So as to what they're seeing, we don't know. We're also not in central New Jersey. We're northern New Jersey up here. But if anyone who is in central New Jersey sees things and you have pictures, I'm sure there's an appropriate place online where you can report that. I believe someone had in chat had said that. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, just that we getting such queries, we get them from police departments all the time and things like that. What is that bright thing in the sky? We have a resident who's complaining about it, And sometimes it's a planet or some sort of celestial object, and sometimes we have no idea either. As Kim mentioned, there are plenty of terrestrial explanations for unexplained things in the sky. So just keep that in mind.
Right. I think there was another. Okay. Once.
I just noticed you have like a lot of online questions. Is this being shown on Zoom, or is this something that people see? And
So we do live stream this on Twitch and YouTube.
okay.
You guys are not visible. Like the audience here is not visible to the audience online. It's really only the speaker.
The
that
speaker,
area.
and every time I walk over here, because I tend to wander when I speak, Chris inside is probably yelling at me right now to get back on camera.
Yeah, I've occasionally considered getting a shepherd silk and putting some reflective on it and just nudging people back into place. Oh yeah, you can join us basically every Saturday, if you so desire and have time, and we'd love to see it. Say hi in chat. I do watch online chat as much as I can, so.
Don't sound so surprised someone wants to tune in, Kim.
Hey, don't call me out like that. Right. Was there another? I think there was another question. Yep. Okay. The waving around part is the.
Sir, I have one question.
Sure.
Yesterday we had a earthquake here, and I know I can see there is a couple of events coming up: solar eclipse and full moon. So, for my curiosity, I may be irrelevant or relevant, I don't know. So, is there any connections between this earthquake with any celestial constellations or any astronomical activities? First part. Second parts, I also read through the article, most of the earthquake happen in Japan, nearby full moon, near vicinity of full moon day. So do we have any connections, or do we have establishments with this, any constellation?
Yeah, so it's not a crazy question in the total, in a total universal sense. Okay, there are many bodies in our solar system, as well as throughout the entire universe, where orbital mechanics and how close a very dense gravity well is to another object, where that gravity well can affect even solid rock in a tidal fashion, and unleash what we would consider catastrophic forces on the surface of that body. However, in an Earth sense, we are just not that close to the sun for it to be doing that. Now, does the sun have no gravitational effect on us? And we know that's not true at all, right? Because when the sun and the moon are aligned, we have a high tide, and but remember that water is a fluid, and that solid rock, 6,000 miles of solid rock, is a whole nother story. So to say that it has no effect, I imagine parts of the Earth feel gravity slightly differently. In fact, I think they're measuring it, but those are extremely sensitive. Remember, the way our scientific community is and physics is going now, we can measure the difference in the size of a proton over a mile. That's how LIGO is working. All right, so we have extraordinarily sensitive instruments now. So when we can measure, say, the difference in the gravity at the top of Everest versus at sea level that the sun has on us, that's not because it's having a huge effect on you, me, and anyone else who doesn't have a sensitive instrument. It's because our instruments now are that good. So I would say from anything geological like that, listen to the geologists, and I think they're saying that those things are just coincidental, and there's no real effect of the eclipse on any of the, those recent phenomena.
Right. So our next online question is, oh, I just saw it. Where'd it go? They've seen glowing orbs flying information. Do you have any information on those? If they're all traveling in a line, looking like they're on a train, you might want to check out Starlink. One of the apps that Lonnie and this time Paul has mentioned, Stellarium, actually tracks a lot of these, and you can see the various satellites. If we are fairly close to a launch of Starlink, those satellites haven't spread out yet, and you tend to see those trains. So chances are you're seeing a Starlink, but you can always check because there are apps for tracking all sorts of satellites, including the International Space Station for Passover.
Yeah. So we did have as I mentioned, the Starlink launch yesterday. So that's a good bet that it's the train of Starlink satellites.
All right. So, and I saw another one that goes by, and I think you had answered the do earthquakes go up during the number of earthquakes going up during eclipses. I think this was more of a coincidence, not causation. I believe you had said. All right. Any other questions? Right. So I'm going to give a last call for any online questions here. I just like to give them a couple minutes because stream delay is a thing. So I want to thank you, Paul, for another great talk.
Thank you,
I
Kim,
wanna
and
thank
thank you everyone in the
You all
audience for
who
listening.
have come out and joined us on this fairly brisk, windy night.
More than fairly brisk, I would say.
If you have snagged some tickets to join us for the eclipse, we look forward to seeing you on Monday. And it looks like we got our question. Yep, it looks like our questions online are good. So thank you all. Like I said, do be safe when you guys drive out. And for everyone, clear skies and good seeing.
Thank you,
Till
everyone.
next time.